Come on, BTC.
Good morning everybody. Welcome back to Crypto Warehouse. My name is Mike. Today is the 11th of July. It is 11 a.m. Central European time. We are almost halfway through July, my second least favourite month of the year here behind August, because it is like working in a sauna. Anyway, we're not going to start with what we're going to do today. We're just going to start with the fact that England beat Holland to get to the final of the European Championships last night, and I am tired. I got the stream prepared for today by 2 a.m. and I've been up since about 8, so I've had no sleep. I am more than likely going to slur for the rest of the show, so if you don't want to hear the odd football joke, look away now. What we are going to go through today then is we're obviously going to have a quick look at the markets, some X-Files, the Commodities Commission are talking about what Bitcoin is, Ethereum is. We're going to go and have a look at when the ETH rally is going to begin. Goldman Sachs moving into real-world assets. The round table that happened between crypto experts and the American government, I think it happened yesterday. PAL AI, where is that headed? And then the final one is a bit ominous. So we're going to have a look at that. It's not really crypto related. It's more to do with AI in general. Good morning to most of you in chat. In fact, good morning to all of you in chat. I hope you are all doing incredibly well. I think Bullish Bull is in chat, Mags is in chat, Hidden Agendas, Velvet Rope, the usual crowd is in chat. I hope you are doing incredibly well. Who else is here that I have missed off? Nobody. Okay, the poll question of the day then. The Ethereum ETF, when it goes live in the next couple of months, where is it going to send the price of Ethereum to? The options are $4,000, $5,000 or $6,000. Where do you think the price of Ethereum will go when the ETF goes live? Hopefully a week today, and we should find out a week today. Good morning, Chris. Welcome to the show. Well, should we begin? I could sit here and talk all day about the bravery and excellence of the England football team, but I won't. And you know why? Because they have been garbage for the entire tournament. And the only reason they beat Holland last night is Holland were just worse than England. That's the only reason we've got through. So do not think I'm excited about getting beaten 5-0 in the final by Spain. Market cap 2.14 trillion, down a touch. Volume is shockingly low, 59 billion in volume. Bitcoin dominance and Ethereum dominance has dropped by 1%. That's now down to 71%. So that does move very slowly over time. Bitcoin then, back above 58,000, 58.2. We know what's going to happen today. We're going to get to 58.5, 58.4, and then the Germans, in typical fashion, are going to try and dump some more Bitcoin onto the market and push us probably back down towards 57,000 over the course of the rest of the day, because that's what they've been doing for the last week. However, Ethereum, 31.24. Remember what I said yesterday, the day before? We have longed Bitcoin from 54.4 and we have longed Ethereum from $3,040. Again, I don't expect you to long or use leverage or any of that. I'm just being open and honest in what we're doing. Why have we done that? Because at some point the Ethereum ETF is going to be announced this month, and that is going to cause the price to go up. Bitcoin is likely to go up if the CPI data coming in today is good. So we've hedged our bets on both of them, and we'll see where we go. We could be proved horribly wrong, but the Oracle very rarely gets those things wrong. BNB coming in at 528, and Solana has become a stable coin at $142. So that's where we are with the markets. The government's received... Yeah, so what happened, Mags, is they send the crypto to the exchanges to be sold, and at the end of every day, they get back what wasn't sold on that day. So they're not selling it by just going and opening an order and dumping onto the markets. That's not how they're selling it. So they will send 5,000 to 3 or 4 exchanges, and then at the end of the day, they might get $200 or $300 million back. They might get, I don't know, 150 Bitcoin back in the day. It's been like that for the last few days. It's just what they don't sell in that day. That's all it is. So it's nothing to worry about. There was a story that they were buying Bitcoin back from the market, but that wasn't true. That was them moving it from one exchange to the other. Tariq is in chat. Good morning, Tariq. Welcome back to the stream. So let's have a look at the 24-hour gainers and losers. Where are we? By the way, Tariq, I am a little bit tired. England beat Holland last night and got to the final, so I didn't finish getting the stream ready till 2 a.m, so I am likely to be slightly slurry today. Lido, Stacks, Ondo. Ondo is back at $1. Now, I bought Ondo at 118. I am not happy that it's at $1, but I know it's going to go a lot higher, so it doesn't bother me. So if you want to get 18% more Ondo for your $1, go and buy it, because that's going to be one of my top movers of the market. Mantle is up 4.4. Jasmine, OP, Tron is up. Aave. Somebody asked me in chat about Tron the other day in one of our groups, and I'm not a fan of it. I'm not a fan of it. I'm going to be honest. I don't hold any. I'd never consider putting it into a portfolio, but their gasless stablecoin is a great idea, and if it works, it's going to make money transfers frictionless. So I'm not going to complain about it. You know, Justin Sun is also very vocal in the crypto space, and he seems like a nice chap. So I just don't like the chain. I never have. Losers then, not too many. Avalanche is down 5%. Say's down 4, not many losers. Render, Immutable X at $1.25. What an absolute steal. Brett is down again. It doesn't seem to be able to move below 10 or above 14 cents at the minute, Brett. So if you do want to get stable, if you do want to get a meme coin, that's not a bad shout. Jupiter is coming in at 77 cents. An absolute steal. Holland lost to England in the semi-final, 2-1. So it is England and Spain in the final, which is interesting for me because I am currently in Gibraltar. And for those of you that don't know, Gibraltar is a British enclave which is attached to the southern tip of Spain. So what is likely to happen on Sunday is the border will be absolute chaos, and you're likely to see some video footage on your local news channel, because whenever Spain wins, they come to the border and celebrate. Whenever England wins, they go to the border and celebrate. If we beat Spain or Spain beats England, there will be chaos at that border. So that's what happened. What else is down? Ton is down a touch. Quant at $70. I can't get my head around that. I cannot get my head around Quant. The supply is minuscule. It's at $70. It's less than $1 billion market cap. I just can't get my head around it. I mean, it's going to be one of those coins where it simply doesn't move. Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, so that's enough for the markets. Let's go and actually get on with some real news, shall we? These are some snippets, some X-Files. As I say, I am just trying to get through. Your money is on Spain. Well, you know what? Yeah, I'm not going to say anything to that. Anthony Scaramucci reiterates his belief in a 6-figure Bitcoin by the end of 2024 and emphasizes the long-term value of Bitcoin. Now then, we talk a lot about this. Why is he saying that? Because he holds a lot of Bitcoin. Why was BlackRock saying it was a Ponzi scheme? Because they wanted to get cheap Bitcoin. They are not telling you for your benefit. They are telling you for their benefit. Do I think we will hit $100,000 by the end of the year? Absolutely not. I think we might get close. I think we might get to 85. We're certainly not going to hit $100,000 by the end of the year. From where we are now, bear in mind, from where we are now, we're at 58,000. So we're talking about an 80% surge by the end of the year. If we did that and we hit $100,000, I would be worried for the end of the bull run, because I think that would be too big a move. Because that kind of move over a short period of time, that requires a lot of liquidity, and it also requires a lot of bullish strength. That gets exhausted. So if we did hit 100,000 by December, say, we're likely to limp through January and February and maybe even March at $80,000. Well, we're not going to get to $240,000 by the summer or the end of next year from that position. So I don't know whether wanting 100,000 by the end of the year is necessarily the best thing to do. Now I need to move off this because you get copyright struck all the time for playing these videos or having them on your screen for too long. So let's just move on. So don't believe everything you read. They're telling you for their best interests. Now then, this is the big news. I talked about it a few days ago, maybe a few weeks ago, I can't remember. It's all a blur today, ladies and gentlemen, it's all a blur. Donald Trump is going to talk at Bitcoin 2024. Now, love him or hate him, what you have to understand is the absolute seismic move in politics in America for a potential president of the United States to go to a Bitcoin conference. If I take you back 4 or 5 years, maybe even 6 or 7 years, these conferences were full of geeks. They were full of shillfluencers, geeks, projects, and VCs. That was it. All mingling around, patting each other on the back, telling them each other how they're going to reinvent the world. We've got a former president and potentially future president of America turning up at a conference on Bitcoin. Okay, I don't care if you like him. If Biden did the same thing, I would equally be as bullish. It is not about the man in orange. It is about the fact that somebody of that political might is going to a Bitcoin conference. It's massive news. It cannot be understated how massive this is. This is, you know the story. First they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, and then you win, okay? We're at the win stage, okay? This is win. This is big win, okay? And we've had some bearish weeks. We've had some very bearish people in chat getting very upset that Bitcoin is going to go to zero. Let's have a look. Kelly Kellum, for those of you that don't know, he worked with BitBoy and a few other people. He's a really good common sense person on X. Doesn't really shill anything. I quite like him. He's listed out some points here which I think people forget sometimes. The 4-year market cycle hasn't even started. Bitcoin has exponential capital channels via ETFs. As we said yesterday, the big boys haven't come to play yet. We're still in the playground with that semi-deflated ball, kicking it between the two pairs of shoes or socks or whatever. The big boys, with their real football and their real goalposts, haven't even walked onto the pitch yet. And we're at $58, $60, $65,000. Institutional appetite is coming. They understand debasement is coming for the dollar. We've had a period now of high inflation, high interest rates, and low money printing. Money printing debases the currency. For you and me, what it does to $100 is negligible. What it does to a treasury with $100 billion is massive. They lose $2, $3, $4, $5 billion a year. What are they going to do with that? They're going to put it into gold. They're going to put it into Bitcoin. Massive behind-the-scenes institutional development to integrate and deploy in blockchain ecosystem. Think real-world assets. Think tokenization. Bitcoin adoption is outpacing the internet adoption. 1 billion users, 10x from here in the coming years. I don't think that we're 1 billion users. I don't think we're 10x from there. I think we're already at several hundred million people. So I don't know, I agree with that one. The benefit of the exponential devaluation of fiat currencies. Patience is the only real payment you need to make here. I totally agree with everything he said, bar one. So I think, you know what, considering the 7 points there, I think we can agree on 6 of them. Good morning. Mikey is back. Mikey, where's my $45,000 Bitcoin, Mikey? Where is it? Bitcoin. Now, this is the chart I wanted to bring up some time ago. And here is the chart. This column here is June. Is my mouse on the screen? Because that would really help if you could see my mouse. Yes, it is. Okay. So June, every single red June for the last 11 years that has been red has been followed by a green July. You see that? Now, that's not so much the case for August. September is really bearish, but then October, November and December tend to be fairly bullish. So we're going to have, if history repeats itself, we're going to have a green July. A green July could see us back at $62,000, $64,000. We have some serious resistance to break, which we'll get onto in a minute. So the key here is, if it's red June, it's green July. And so far, although we are down 6% on Bitcoin, 6% from here would be what, $2,500? That would put us at 60,500. So again, we're not talking ridiculous moon boy maths here. We are trying to be sensible, level-headed people. Bitcoin is still bearish on the long-term time frame. It is. I agree. And what could happen is we could retest 62, 64, get rejected, and then come back down. Now, my argument against that is a September rate cut and the Ethereum ETF. Those two things are going to happen in the next 2 months. That, for me, again, puts more liquidity into the market and should be the bullish narrative that takes us past the threat of $44,000. I'm not taking the $44,000 line off the Bitcoin chart for a while. But if we get towards the 60,000s, 65,000s, for example, we're looking at a 35% retracement, and that's when I think we start to get a little bit out of sync and get away from that. Now then, I'm going to make a video about this, but I'm putting it in for all of you that don't subscribe, don't follow, don't know where we are. Cloud, Sanctum, which was one of the LFG votes on the Jupiter DAO, that is going to be launching very soon. So soon. Are you ready? This is the good news. Sanctum Week is the 15th of July to the 19th of July, Monday to Friday next week. You have the launch survival guide. You have the LFG site goes live. You have the Jupiter call. The Alpha Vault is open, the cloud launch and the cloud party. So next week, you will be able to check your allocation. And I think on Thursday, you will be able to claim. There we go. So next Thursday, you will be able to claim your cloud drop. Now, very carefully, I need to explain this. If you hold $10 of dupe and you stake it in the DAO, these airdrops are going to be worth 5, 10, 15 cents, okay? You need to really be holding, in my humble opinion, at least 100 to 200 dupe to take part. That's my bare minimum. Now, that for a lot of people is a ridiculous amount of money. At the minute, that's like $150. I get that. But when you start getting down to the point of earning 5 or 10 cents from an airdrop, you're actually paying maybe 1 cent for the transaction fee. So it becomes, you're still going to make money out of it, but you're probably going to make more money out of the appreciation in value of your dupe. So what I'm saying is, if you hold 50 dupe, you're going to get your return from the appreciation in dupe. You're not going to get the return from this. Now, I'm not saying don't do it because you're part of a DAO. Your decision matters, your vote matters as much as everybody else's. What I'm saying is, don't go on to X complaining that you only got 20 cents of cloud or 30 cents of cloud. It's pro rata. If you hold 100,000 dupe worth $75,000, you're going to get a good few $100 of most of the tokens that drop. That's just how it works. So all I'm saying is don't be disappointed in what you get if you don't hold a lot of dupe. But if you do hold dupe and you hold a few hundred of them, go and stake them, earn your rewards. That's what I would say. I'm going to make a video about this anyway, so I don't want to talk about it too much. I just wanted to throw that in there. Now then, there is an internal raging war within the American financial institutions, political institutions as well. The CFTC chairman says Bitcoin and Ethereum are commodities, case closed. A recent federal court decision reaffirmed the status of the top two cryptocurrencies, but it's not a binding precedent. Now, the question there that I would have to ask you is, how can you call Ethereum a commodity? Now, as you know, I'm never going to sit here and blatantly lie about anything. Bitcoin is mined using electronic miners. So is Litecoin, so is Casper, so is Dogecoin. They are mined using these miners to solve these algorithmic problems. I get it, okay? They are, you know, it's the same as getting oil out of the ground and coal out of the ground and diamonds. I get that. Just because it's a digital version of that doesn't mean it isn't mining, because you are being rewarded for mining, but those rewards aren't guaranteed. Ethereum is proof of stake. You stake all of your Ethereum, you get paid 3% per year. In my opinion, that's a dividend. But my opinion doesn't count. I'm just giving you my opinion because you happen to be listening to me. So for me, anything that is proof of stake is not a commodity. That's my simple rule of thumb. I am not saying that I am right and all of these people are wrong. What I'm saying is, you look at a company, you buy 100 shares in a company, that company should pay you a dividend every year, unless it's Caterpillar or one of the ones that just accumulates the value in its share price. So you're buying shares, and I consider Ethereum to be a share of the Ethereum ecosystem. I also consider Cardano to be a share of the Cardano ecosystem. So for me, they're not commodities. XRP is as close to being a security as you could ever have because it's a centralized business. So although I might sound like Gary Gensler, I'm just saying it how I see it. And that is, if it's mined, it's a commodity. If it's paying you for staking your tokens and you're getting a dividend, which is what it is, it's a dividend, then it's more of a security than a commodity. So if I'm having that argument, and I've been studying crypto for 8 years, how are these people supposed to make up their minds on what things are? You can't just call something a name and then people believe it. That is why the world is in such an absolute mess, because people assign tags which aren't true and then stick, and that's the issue. I mean, don't celebrate this. Rustin Behrman is the chairman, clearly the chairman. He has said the court reaffirmed that Ethereum and Ether are commodities under the Commodity Exchange Act, referring to a fraud case pursued by the CFTC in the US District Court for Illinois. Now, here's where I think we should have a different set of rules. If your blockchain is centralized, you are a security. If your voting power is held by the select few, you are a security. Because that's how I see things. It doesn't mean I'm right. That's how I see things. If you have a completely, fully decentralized blockchain with nobody having more than, say, 5% of the vote, then I can see a case for it not being a security, but it's also not a commodity. It's something else. And I think we need to have a third definition, and that is a decentralized blockchain with no central control. Now, you think about that, what falls under that? Cardano falls under that because Cardano is decentralized. Once Chang goes live, the Chang hard fork goes live, the Charles and his team will no longer be in control of the blockchain. Therefore, for me, it's not security. Is Ethereum a security with the Ethereum Foundation? Is Solana a security with the Solana Foundation? Is, what else do we have? XRP a security, given its centralized control? You can understand why these people are getting confused. And that's an issue for me, because I don't see a solution with the Howey test, and I don't see a solution with the CFTC want Bitcoin and Ethereum so they can make the fees. The SEC want Bitcoin and Ethereum, well, not so much Bitcoin, we want Ethereum and Solana so they can fine companies. All they're interested in, the pair of them are interested in control and revenue. That's not the way they should be working. The SEC should be protecting the retail investor, going after bad actors. Ethereum isn't so much of a bad actor. There is some really shady history behind Ethereum, but they're not a bad actor. Solana didn't really do anything wrong. Just because it goes down doesn't mean it's a bad blockchain. So they're not really bad actors either. So that's what the SEC should be doing. They should be saying, do you play by the rules? Yes, fine, move on. Not go after the Ethereum Foundation 7 years later when it's already become proof of stake. They didn't go anywhere near it when it's proof of work. So you've got to understand these government bodies are doing things for their own remit, not the remit of the public. And the CFTC, if you think they're going to be any nicer than the SEC, you've got another thing coming, because they want those fees. Even though other courts can take the decision into consideration, which was reached in the trial court, anything that happens on the trial court level is not really binding on the other courts in that jurisdiction. This is good news, not bad news, but it's probably not that big. Again, I don't consider... You can't expect a judge to absolutely understand the full intricacies of the cryptocurrency. The same way you can't expect a politician to understand the intricacies of the cryptocurrency. What you can do is you can expect the SEC to understand it, which they should, and they don't. Right then, let us move on very quickly. Just checking the comments. Comments coming in left, right, and center. Bitcoin then coming in at 58.3. Again, what did we see yesterday? The same thing again. At some point during the course of this stream, Germany will send more Bitcoin to exchanges, so we are likely to come down again. We're going to do this until they've sold out. Now, the good news is they started with 50,000. I think they're now down to 11,000 Bitcoin. So they've already got rid of 80% of the supply. Again, for Mikey in chat, we've got our $44,000 line in there, which is pretty much that line there. Why is that important? Because of this price action previously over here. And you could argue, or he could argue, and many people could argue, that this would be playing out the full M pattern. So there is a case for 44,000. I am not disagreeing with that. I thought that this was the M pattern. It turns out it was this. So we do have 3 levels of McDonald's on our charts. Let's just leave it at that. Now, where do I think we're going to go today? Nothing's changed since yesterday, but I can't ignore Bitcoin because today is the CPI day today. Now, that could be massively positive, and we could wick up somewhere towards this price, which is the bottom of the band here, which is about 60,900. That would be the bullish move based on CPI coming in cooler than expected. If we see anything that's expected or a little bit higher, we could see some real jaggedy price action today. I don't know when it's being announced, by the way. I don't know if it's 7:30, 10:30 my time tonight, or whether it's 3:30. I'm not sure. I haven't checked the timing, but it's going to cause volatility. If you're trading today, and make sure it's spot, personally, not financial advice, I wouldn't be going 50x long on Bitcoin at 3:30 or 10:30 or whatever it's being announced, because yes, you could make 2,000% return. You could also be liquidated at the drop of a hat, because these candles move $1,000 in a minute. So just be careful. That's all I'm saying. Be careful today. It's a big day. I think we've got to get back over 60,000. The next level up for me is then 63,000. If we really want to get back in the game, we've got to get back above 65,000. But as Mikey says, if you go to the weekly, it ain't so good. And the weekly could be here. And it looks likely to be there on the weekly. But I'm going to try and remain slightly positive, because there's a lot of bullish news coming out, and I think maybe the Ethereum news lifts us out of the doldrums. I think it can get us a leg up and away from that. And by the way, getting over 60,000 psychologically is going to make people feel so much better, because then we're only 15% away from all-time highs again. So again, we're not far away. We just have to have some time. Now, moving on, because we're going to run out of time. 11:30. So what have we got here? Ethereum price data points to impending rally. That is kind of the news that we want, because as I said, we have longed Ethereum. I think the Oracle has a price target of 4,200. We're at 3,100 now, 3,150. There are going to be milestones along the way to hit for Ethereum. We know that. 3,400 is in the charts. It's where we were. We did get back below 3,000. We broke that level. We're now back above it, thankfully. The leverage was wiped out. All of the leverage is now above us. If you look at the leverage charts, which we did yesterday, 72,000, or was it 62,000? I think it was 72,000 actually. There's $2 billion worth of shorts at 72,000. That's a big target. That's got a big price on its head. Maybe we do that. maybe we do that. But there are some levels we've got to get to. The spot ETF is taking a little bit longer than expected, but he said it is expected sometime in the summer. We're in July, okay? Grayscale yesterday clearly said they expected it to be the 18th of July. Now, let me give you the bullish scenario. The bullish scenario is that today, the CPI data comes in on or below target, and the SEC give the final round of S1 feedback, or they give their approval today. That's the mega bullish news. That is Ethereum heading up towards $4,000. That's Bitcoin heading up towards $60,000. That's the bullish case. Bearish case for everything, basically, if the CPI comes in hotter than expected. That's the bearish case. That's why it's not a good idea to necessarily trade on this day. So the longs that we put in on Bitcoin and Ethereum, we did that on, I think, Saturday or Sunday, and we did that on Monday. So we're already a good, I think Bitcoin we're up 150%. I think Ethereum we're already up about 40%. So we've got some leg room for any negative price action. Today would not be the day for me to open a long, in my opinion. And we are going to close these longs when we hit relatively small targets. But for me, today is a bad day to trade because you don't know what's going to happen. And it is gambling at this stage on these days. So for me, Ethereum is bullish. There's now more Ethereum locked than at any point in its history. I think it's got 30, does it mention it in here, 34% or 36% of the supply is locked? It's an awful lot that's locked. I can't remember if it's stated in here. So Ethereum, for me, we are in a bullish phase. In my humble opinion, we're in a bullish phase. I don't see why we should all have this negativity in our chat, especially after England have got to the final after beating Holland. Good morning, Kishan. Welcome to the stream. And remember, do smash the likes. It helps the channel, and comment in chat. By the way, if you disagree with me, I am more than happy to have a conversation. If you think I am talking nonsense about the Bitcoin price or the Ethereum price or whatever, I am more than happy for you to tell me why. Now then, again, Ethereum is in a better place than it was. We broke down out of this downward channel. We broke down even further, but we wicked back into this range. Where is the next target then for Ethereum to get to the top of this range, which we are in? Probably about 3,300. To get back into the bull market support band range, we're looking at 3,200. So we're not far away, 3, 4, 5% away. Again, I'll say this, as I said last time, if you copy that move and you consider that this ETF is going to be approved soon, are we in that pattern? And that would take us to 3,700, back to the range we were at over here. And trust me, once people know that the ETF is going live, it's going to rip. It will rip, just on the news. Then what's important is if we do this, we really need to retest and then break up. So this line here has to be tested. That is the 3,400 that the article was talking about. Again, these are one-off events. So what I mean by that is we are going to have the ETF from now on, the same way we've got the Bitcoin ETF from now on. The Bitcoin ETF has inflated the price of Bitcoin 30% higher than it should be. It's going to do the same thing to Ethereum. When I mean it's a one-off event, I mean the news being announced and the go live date being announced. That's a one-off event. That only will ever happen once. So expect wild moves. Germany are clearly, by the end of this week, in the next 2 days, will have finished selling. They are done. So Germany's finished selling. Mt. Gox hasn't really appeared. The FTX money is coming back into crypto. The ETF is going to go live, and we're going to get an interest rate cut hopefully in the next 2 months. It's bullish. I know where we are. I know how people are feeling, but it's all bullish news. And trust me, if it was bearish news and interest rates were starting to go up and inflation was going up, I would be quite happy to tell you that it's not looking good. Good morning, Kabir. Now then, remember when we talked about Ondo, and I talked about Mantra, and I talked about why one, for me, is more speculation than the other, and that was Mantra. And I'm really bullish on Mantra. This is why you have to be careful when investing in projects that aren't live. Chainlink is 4 years ahead in terms of its roadmap and development than Mantra. Goldman Sachs or BlackRock or Fidelity can just come along and bring out 3 new products that will absolutely smash something like Mantra. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but you have to understand, when you're in a market with unestablished market leaders, or market leaders that don't have a huge unsurmountable lead, like Chainlink, by the way. Chainlink is the biggest oracle. It is the alpha, it's the gorilla. Mantra isn't built yet. It's going to go live in the next few months. What Goldman Sachs are doing here is potentially tapping into the market, but are they going to start to devour and cannibalize some of the other RWA projects? That's what you need to bear in mind. The products could include an RW Play marketplace. Now, is that going to compete with Mantra? Yes. It will focus on the United States and Europe. Is that going to compete with Mantra? Yes, to some extent. It's preparing to launch 3 new tokenization products later this year in the US and Europe, following a major uptick in interest from clients, according to Fortune, which published an interview with Matthew McDermott. McDermott declined to specify details, but did say that Goldman Sachs plans to create marketplaces for tokenized real-world assets and would focus on the fund complex in the USA and European debt markets. He reportedly added that the investment bank plans to target financial institutions rather than retail investors with its new products, and will rely exclusively on permissioned blockchains. He said the RWA marketplace would differentiate itself with the speed of execution. Let's go down. Anything else? Funds that specialize in RWAs are gaining traction in the US. This is particularly true for funds that deal in tokenized money market instruments. Now, Build, B-U-D-L, what's that associated with? Ondo. What is Ondo offering? It is offering the US dollar bonds, and it's offering a US dollar denominated, kind of like a stable coin thing going on. So it's big business. Now, just to put this into context, this is the transaction number of the RWAs. Now, this is basically a crap graph. This is crap. You can't see anything on here. What you can see is that Ondo is listed. You can see that Mantra is listed, Goldfinch is listed, Pendle is listed, Maple Finance is listed. So these are the competitors of what Goldman Sachs are about to launch. Now, the question is this going to be offered as a token that people can buy in crypto? Or are they going to keep this initially just for their private clients? And being Goldman Sachs, it's likely to be for their clients until the clients have made enough money, and then they'll give it to us. But this is the inherent risk to everybody in the RWA space. And that's why Ondo has partnered with BlackRock. That's why Ondo for me is a safer bet, because they're already in bed with the bear. Mantra is standing outside in the cold, and it's going dark, and the bears are hungry, and Mantra's running around, and it's not finished. It doesn't have a stick or a shield to protect itself, and it's going to get eaten by the bears because it's not in the house with the good bear. So what Mantra should be doing, not just on a small level, on a big level, is they should be tying their ribbon to a Goldman Sachs or a Fidelity. Now, I know there is news coming out about it, and I know they have got new partnerships, and they probably will survive. But if I had to invest into one of two projects today, it would be Ondo, because they've already got the deals in place and they're live. Mantra, however, could very well, in the bull run, let's say Ondo does a 10x or a 15x. Mantra could very easily do a 30x, and it could outperform Ondo because it's coming from further back in the pack. So it has further to grow. And it is going to be the next token that I buy. What I'm saying is there are inherent risks to projects which are not live going into the latter stages of a bull run. Because if they're half cooked going into a bull run, you need to wait 4 more years for that token to take off. Bears are always hungry. Exactly. The bears are always hungry. And if you like to see bears eat things, then you should hang around for the next 2 years because they're going to eat everything. You were in Wall Street the last few days, visited Wall Street and saw the bull statue. Exactly. That's what you need to do. Go and ride that bull. Right then. Now, this is, again, very similar to the news we had about Trump talking at Bitcoin 2024. US lawmakers have met with crypto advocates in a DC roundtable talk. Again, Biden and the Democrats know that they have lost the crypto vote and are doing everything in their powers to get the crypto vote. How do I know this? Because we've got an Ethereum ETF going live in the next 3 or 4 weeks. That's the single reason. We were never going to get this. This was going to be February, March next year. I said it at the time. Trump wins, puts Hester Peirce in charge, we get an Ethereum ETF. Before they made that decision, what were the SEC doing? They were about to sue the Ethereum Foundation. They haven't. So what are they doing now? They're going after Lido and the liquid staking tokens industry. They're going after the dividend style people. They're not going after Ethereum. They've given up that fight. Why? Because they've been told to by higher powers. So this is yet another example of why the Democrats are changing their position on crypto. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to understand this. There's 50 million people in America that hold crypto. Joe Biden, Gary Gensler, who else is to blame for this? Nancy Pelosi, the other lady that I can't remember the name of, they're all responsible for bashing crypto. And now we are seeing a round table conversation between some incredible people from the crypto space. I'm not going to read all the names out. Brad Garlinghouse from Ripple. The Blockchain Association are there. Mark Cuban is there. And there's other names I'm not going to read out. It was a productive step forward in approaching crypto as a non-partisan issue. Dixon echoed her sentiment. It's clear these leaders understand that leadership from the United States on blockchain tech and digital assets is critical to ensure this industry and this tech is allowed to flourish. And that's the angle they'll probably go with. That's the angle that they will go with. The real angle is that crypto is now in a position to pay a lot of money to senators and various other political bodies to push forward their own narrative. So this is about money. How much are you going to give to the Democrats to help us win the election? After the event, Garlinghouse took to X to suggest that the roundtable may be a first step in moving from words to actual action. He emphasised partisan divides on crypto and claims the SEC chair, Gary Gensler, was a Luddite concerning digital assets. That is nonsense. Okay, Gary Gensler was a lecturer on blockchain technology. Okay? Definition of a Luddite, for those of you that have never heard this old-fashioned word, a person opposed to new technology or ways of working. So, where did this come from? Well, I come from Manchester, which was the textile capital of the world 200 or 300 years ago. And when they brought in various different types of looms, which is what you make, material and stuff with, people were against it. They wanted to do it by hand, and they called them Luddites. and that was named after, I believe, one of the actual trades union people who was against it, and he was called Charles Ludd or something like that. So people that followed him were called Luddites, and now it applies to everybody that's against technology. Gary Gensler is not a Luddite. He's lectured on blockchain technology. There's videos of him telling you how good blockchain technology is going to be for the world. The reason he is being the way he is because he is appointed by Joe Biden. That's the reason. He's a super clever guy. If you think Gary Gensler is thick, you need to look him up. Him and his brother are not stupid. Chairman Powell is not stupid. These are incredibly intelligent people at the top of their games, and they are being led by the political parties that are in charge of them. That is just how it works in politics. So I'm very sorry to say this, Garlinghouse, but you are so far wide of the mark with that comment. So we don't need to read any more about this. The point of the matter is that the government of America is sitting down with crypto. The potential future president of America is talking at a Bitcoin conference. Read the room, okay? Read the room. Are we fighting? Are we being laughed at? Are we being ignored? Or are we winning? Okay? We're winning. This is the last great bull run. This is the last great war that we are ever going to fight. Once America falls to crypto, that's it. The rest of the world has already adopted crypto. China, Russia, India, United Arab Emirates, Europe to the most extent, Asia, Africa. America's the last one fighting. Why? Because it wants to control the supply of money. Bitcoin, crypto is a direct threat to the supply of money. So if they can't control it, they want to destroy it. That's why we're in this situation. Now they realize it's too big. If they wanted to get rid of crypto, they should have done it 6 years ago. And they didn't. And by the way, Trump was in power when we were still, trying to build crypto. So you understand where we are. They've realized they've lost. Now they want to control it. But the battle has been won. We could see, as I said a few days ago, we could see $250,000 Bitcoin in this bull run. That would be a 3.5x over what we hit last bull run. We're not going to do 750,000 in the next bull run. We might do 500,000 in the next bull run. That's only a 2x. So it's the last great chance to accumulate wealth. This is it. By the end of next year, you should have got out of crypto. You should have sold up, maybe everything but Bitcoin. You should have sold up, and you should be sitting on cash, waiting for the bear market, which might not come for Bitcoin or Ethereum or Solana, but it will come for everything else. And that's when you buy in another year later. That's how it works. Now then, Pal AI. A lot of you ask me questions about Pal AI in chat. And to be honest, I have looked at it. I've never bothered to review it because it's not really my thing. But I understand a lot of you have got it and want to know if it's worth getting. All right. So Telegram coin Pal's price lack of momentum is a sign of a lack of activity amongst investors. The constant drawdown in active addresses further substantiates the lack of participation. It's not just impacted by the broader market, also by the actions of the Telegram coin investors. These PAL holders have not been acting very positively, which is potentially creating downward pressure on the asset. I mean, active addresses is fallen off the chart. PAL's long-term holders are losing faith. I mean, let's go and have a look at the price. I mean, like I say, I've never looked at this before, but it doesn't look good. And I didn't pick this article out to bash it, by the way. I just found an article on PAL and then realised that a lot of you guys like it. So I'm going to have a little look and see where we are with PAL. Okay, well, that's not a good sign. Okay, right. The good news is that we are pretty much in the same boat as everything else. And that is that we are below the bull market support band, as most of the things are. If I brought up the Cardano chart, it would be in the same kind of zone. We have collapsed here pretty much since May, as everything else has done. We peaked about the same time as everything else in March. What I would say to you is, if you are a fan of PAL, okay, then this is the price range. I don't see, I mean, if we want to kind of pick a price to come to, you're kind of looking at, I mean, the only thing left apart from going back to 10 cents is probably that level there, which it held for not very long. And that is about 17 cents, which I think is what the article said. Did it not? Did it say 17 cents? Let's have a look. Key support is threatened yet. Okay, so 17.3 cents is what this is suggesting, and 10.3 cents. Now, you know what? I agree. I've got 17 cents, and then right at the very bottom, we've got 10.6. So believe it or not, for once in a while, I actually agree. It's in the bin at the minute. Where is Peter? Peter came on, asked about gold and Bitcoin on Tuesday, and hasn't been seen since. So I don't know. I don't know where Peter is. But for me, I mean, I don't know what the market cap of PAL is. Let's go and have a look at CoinGecko and see if I can give you any hopium. Because, again, I say this quite a lot, not everything in the bull run is going to fly. And that's the issue. And because not everything's going to fly, you are likely to see a lot of projects die. So this has only got a $160 million market cap. We're now talking about it potentially going below $100 million market cap. I wouldn't want to hold these coins in the bull run. This is not the time to be making mistakes. I'll give you an example. If you mess up in a group stage of a European Championship and you let an own goal in, it's fine. You're nowhere near the final. Make your mistakes then. You get to the semi-final, you get to the final, you need to be flawless. And flawless for me, doesn't have to be for you, flawless for me means holding as surefire winners as possible for you in the bull run. Now, surefire for me is very difficult to quantify in crypto, because crypto is it's very difficult to pick surefire winners in crypto. We all know that. But I brought this up yesterday, and there's no harm bringing it up again today. I'm not going to spend a long time on this because we've still got another AI thing to look at. So, AI coins. Let's have a look all the way down here. Where is PAL? There is PAL on the list, okay? So, Turbo is above it, IONET is above it, Arkham is above it, Theta iOS is a good project, that's above it. And then we're getting into potentially the three winners of the bull run: Render, ASI, and NEAR. Now, ASI has yet to pump. I say it should be $5. I also say that things like Jupiter should be $1.50. I don't always get what I ask for. We need to get AI to a $5 billion market cap. And that is a 66% pump from where we are. So that's potentially putting it back at $2. And then we need to see where we're going to go from there. The transfer of Singularity and Oceans to ASI hasn't gone through properly yet. It's still in the pipeline. That needs to be worked on. But remember where we are. We are still in a corrective phase. Mikey keeps pointing out 44,000. It's still on the table until we get a lot higher than where we are. If we break 64,000, 68,000, we get back towards 70,000. NEAR is going to be back at $6 or $7, if not more. ASI is going to be over $3 or $4. Render is probably going to be back over $10. So all of these are good prices. What I'm saying is, if I had to go into battle with one of these projects over the bull run, I am not going to go down here and expect PAL to outperform all of these. Archblock, another good project. Casper, I'm not expecting it to outperform those projects. So you need to have a settled team going into your final, which is the bull run. The same way that we need a settled team going into the final against Spain on Sunday. Your bags should now be packed for the bull run. If you're new here, if you're new to crypto and you don't know what you're doing, go and buy Bitcoin, Ethereum and Solana. Okay? That's your first port of call. Now, if you want to be super conservative, 50% Bitcoin, 25% Solana, 25% Ethereum. Why? All three of them are going to get an ETF. All three of them are pumping or will pump massively over the next 18 months. Now, when you've done that, when you've got your base team, when you've got the spine of your core, the core of your team, the spine of your team, you've got your goalkeeper, your centre half, your midfielder and your centre forward. You've got that sorted. You then look for a bit of flair. You look for some meme coins, AI coins, real world asset coins, some layer ones and some layer twos, Matic, Optimism, maybe even Arbitrum, IMX. You want to look at some of the projects on Solana, like Pies maybe, Dupe. Look at those kind of projects, the kind of 1 billion, 2 billion types of projects and higher. So that's what you want to be doing. Don't come in here and go, I am 75% Brett and 25% Pal. Because what you're doing, that's like playing with a winger and a left back and you've got nobody else in your team. What's going to happen? You're going to get wrecked. You need a solid portfolio for this bull run. And I've made countless videos about those. You can go and check them out. You can go and see what you think. Now then, we're going to move on very quickly because it's 11:59. This is a quick article. OpenAI taps lab where the atomic bomb was built for bioscience study. Now, this isn't technically crypto related, but if this happens, what's the point in crypto? We're not going to have any crypto, are we? We're going to be running around being shot at by robots. So I think this is ominous. If you were going to write a sci-fi film, you'd start off with the AI androids and robots being built in a World War II science bunker, wouldn't you? That's where you'd start it off. And then the first line would be one of your scientists saying, I didn't expect that to happen. And then the screen would go dark and then it would say 2066. And it's just a wasteland with skulls being crushed by robotic feet. This is where we are, ladies and gentlemen. Los Alamos National Laboratory will test GPT-4.0 in its labs to accelerate bioscience safety research. Number one, there is nothing safe about this kind of stuff, okay? I don't care what they tell you. This is really bad news. So it's partnering with historic research facility New Mexico-based Los Alamos National Laboratory to study the use of AI in bioscience research. The company announced on Wednesday, according to OpenAI, the White House's executive order on AI safety tasks the US Department of Energy Labs, which includes Los Alamos, with evaluating the capabilities of frontier AI models across disciplines like science and biology. Yeah, we know it's not science and biology, don't we? We know that. We know these things. We know it's not going to be used for what they're telling us it's going to be used for. Do you remember when they told you it was pangolin monkeys? Do you remember that? Do you remember being told it came from a monkey in a market? Do you remember that? And then when they analysed it, they found that some of the DNA strands were actually patented by some of the pharmaceutical industry. Do you remember all that? Well, if you read science and biology and you read safety, what you need to read is Terminators. That's what you need to read. Drones, Terminators, Arnold Schwarzenegger style people, who knows? It's never what they say it's going to be there for. It started after the Manhattan Project, trying to understand the health effects of radiation. From there, over the years, the research has evolved and they've learned a lot that was centered in DNA. And from there, it was involved with the Human Genome Project, which actually, you know, that was a positive thing, the Human Genome Project. There was an English guy who actually cracked the code, I believe. He won a prize for it a few years ago, so that's positive. But I've got to be very careful what I read out here. I don't think of AI as a threat or even a sort of, it's just like any other tech tool or approach, and the threat is really when it gets misused, Generous said. So I would say that trying to understand both the benefits and the context of that misuse is what is important. So what they're going to do is they're going to think about all of the worst ways it can be used, and then somebody's going to be told about all those worst ways it can be used, and somebody's going to go, that's a really good idea. Maybe I'm a techno-optimist, but I generally believe that technological advancement usually creates more good than bad. Again, yeah, the problem is when the AI decides that we are part of the problem and not the solution. That's the issue. This AI test effort, this larger one, is being spearheaded by the AI Risk and Tech Assessment Group. Again, I'm not going to read too much of that. I just wanted to let you know. So again, when you see these conspiracy theorists, people talking about, oh, you know, they're going to go and create biological humans and, you know, and machines and AI and all this kind of stuff, like RoboCop, if you remember the film RoboCop. Yes, that's all well and good. But when they start putting brains in things, that's when there's an issue. And we just have to be very careful, because like crypto is going to go on an exponential rise, maybe it's going to 3x in the next 18 months, 12 months. That's an exponential rise. We're going to go from dogs carrying, you know, robotic dogs carrying equipment. We're going to go from that to a RoboCop style character, and we might do that in the next 5 years. And then 2 years later, we will have the next upgrade. And then a year later, and then 6 months, and then suddenly you are in this spiral of advancement, because suddenly you've given AI the ability to improve itself. If you don't think it's a risk, that is fine. But think of it this way. Everything we do in life now is online and uses electricity. So how do you put us back to the dark ages? You take away the internet and you take away electricity. That's it. In the olden days, you had decentralized tribes that were all over the place. You had to go around them one by one. It took ages. It took years to go through Europe for the Romans. But guess what? Now we're all centralized and we're all reliant on the same things. And all it takes is the wrong bit of code to cripple the grid, to cripple the power supply. The internet goes down. What do? There's no communication. So you might think that that sounds very far-fetched, like a science fiction program, but I spend a lot of my spare time looking at AI. And yes, it's going to clean the oceans. It's going to reforest the world. It's going to clean up the atmosphere. And we are going to have a far better future than we were going to have 10 years ago before we went after it. What you don't want to do is get panicked by the crises people about the environment, because AI is going to solve all of those problems for us, because we can't get 10,000 people to plant trees in the middle of the Sahara Desert for the next 50 years. But what we can do is, as China are starting to do now, they are getting drones to plant seeds, and they are reforesting their desert because it's been encroaching for so many years. So there's huge benefits to AI and there's huge benefits to drones, except when it goes wrong. And that going wrong requires one bad actor. And as we've seen in crypto with Sam Bankman-Fried, one bad actor puts us back a year and 2 years. One bad actor in AI could put us back 500 years. Anyway, that was a nice little rant to finish the show. Thank you everybody for tuning in. I'm going to go make a video about Sanctum very shortly, but thank you for your time. Thank you for coming. Remember, it's coming home. On Sunday, England are not going to lose 5-0 to Spain. We're going to do incredibly well. And yeah, we shall see. Thank you, Mags, Chris, Kabir, Kishan, everybody, Mikey. See you all in the morning. Oh, by the way, Brogan is streaming tonight at 9 o'clock. Make sure to tune in for him. I'll put some links in Telegram so you can follow. Anyway, have a great Thursday. See you all tomorrow.